everyone, and welcome to this edition of Hot Hoops. I'm Sierra Goodwill, and I am joined alongside men's basketball beat reporter Dylan Fearon. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Always a pleasure, Sierra.
So it was a big week for Quinnipiac basketball in general, but I don't know about you. After I was done with my Thanksgiving meal, I sat down on the couch, I flipped through the channels, and if you did the same and got to ESPN, you would see Quinnipiac men's basketball playing number 11 Gonzaga on ESPN in the Advocare Invite down in Florida. So while the Bobcats eventually lost by 20 to the Bulldogs, they really kept it close within 5 points at the start of the second half. That caliber of play continued the next day against Seton Hall, which is the reigning Big East champs. The Bobcats got within 2 points with 10 minutes left in the game, but eventually lost by a score of 90-79. Dylan, just a totally different looking team than the one that lost by nearly 30 to Vermont.
Yeah, pleasant surprise. Everyone thought they lost to Gonzaga by 35, even 40. They hold their own 20-point loss to a team that could easily be in the Final Four this year. And then Seton Hall, you lose by 11, but they had a 13-0 run to cut the lead from 16-3. They fought very hard, diving for loose balls, playing loose and confident. They looked very, very good. A pleasant surprise this weekend.
That's right, and that wasn't the end. There was one last game in the Advocare Invite for Quinnipiac, and it was against Indiana State. After starting the season 0-4, let's see how they did, jumping right into the second half. Just 44 seconds left in the game. Brenton Scott gives Indiana State the lead.
26 points on the day, 3 threes, 20 points on the season. He's played very consistent for the second half.
Chase Daniels doesn't get phased though, works hard down low to put Quinnipiac back up by 1, forcing Indiana State into a final buzzer three-pointer for the win. It is no good.
Quinnipiac with the win, a big-time victory going to 2 home conference games. They look very, very good. They're playing confident. Tom Moore, the monkey is off their back. A big-time first win for this program.
Freshman Peter Kiss was awarded Rookie of the Week after his performance in Florida, where he averaged 16 points a game in the tournament. Off the bench, Kiss shot 51.4% from the field and 60% from behind the arc. Dylan, I think the more Kiss is on the court, the better this team will definitely be. Teammate Chase Daniels commented on the freshman's breakout performance, so let's see what he had to say.
I love how he's not scared. He gets in the game, he's always ready. He's a great team player. He knows how to make plays. He's very advanced. Even though he's a freshman, he plays like a senior.
How does he help your game out down low?
He looks for me down there. We play inside out. I give him a couple shots. He gave me a couple shots. So I like our chemistry together.
So, obviously making a statement early on in his career, who does Peter Kiss most remind you of who has played for this Bobcats team before?
I'm going to have to go with Zayed Hurst. Class of 2015, shooting guard. He was a captain of this program. They look very, very similar to me in terms of they're playing loose, they play confident. Zayed Hurst can shoot the basketball, very confident basketball player with the ball in his hands, and he dives for loose balls. You see it all the time when Zayed Hurst was here, diving for loose balls that he has absolutely no business getting. He plays with energy, and the biggest thing about Zayed Hurst and Peter Kiss's similarity is that they want to win so badly, more than anything. When I talked to Tom Moore in January, when Peter Kiss signed with Quinnipiac, he said he wants to win more than anything, and he wants to go up against the toughest competition possible. And that's exactly what Zayed Hurst did on a nightly basis his last 2 years at Quinnipiac. He wants to go up against the best teams, the best players, put against the opponent's best offensive player. They look exactly the same to me early on in their careers. They can shoot the basketball, they can defend, they dive for loose balls, they do whatever it takes for the team to get victories, and that's exactly what Zayed Hurst did for 4 years, and that's exactly what Peter Kiss did this weekend. It's looking very, very bright for Kiss as a Bobcat.
I definitely see the similarity, Dylan. But Peter Kiss and another talented freshman in Mikey Dixon, who's averaging about 10 points per game, are coming off the bench. So in your opinion, should they be getting the starting nod, or what should Tom Moore be doing with the starting lineup?
I'd keep it exactly the same. They looked very, very good this weekend. Peter Kiss played phenomenal all 3 games. Mikey Dixon had 21 points against Indiana State in their lone victory. I'd keep it the exact same. They're confident, they're loose off the bench, and you don't want to mess with the chemistry of the starting 5 right now. Phil Winston and Reggie Oliver are the 2 starting guards right now, along with Daniel Harris. You do not want to mess with that. Keep them in the starting 5. Let Kiss and Dixon come off the bench and do what they've been doing for the past 3 games. It's working. You don't want to fix what isn't broken. Keep it the way it is. Phil Winston and Reggie Oliver are playing well as starters along with Daniel Harris. And of course, you can keep the bigs the same with Abdoulaye Bundu and Chase Daniels. So keep it the way it is. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
That's right, and on Thursday, Quinnipiac opens up conference play against Monmouth, a team on the rise the past 2 years, and Q30's Maury Hirschgordon got the chance to talk with Monmouth expert and writer for Asbury Park Press, Josh Newman, to discuss the Bobcats matchup with the Hawks.
What do you like most about the Hawks so far through 6 games?
I think that, for the most part, despite having a lot of veteran guys back, they've got a ton back, but it's kind of a new team. You've got your veteran guys like Justin Robinson, and Micah Seaborn and Josh James and other seniors. But King Mason's also mixing in a lot of young guys like Pierre Starr, who's only a sophomore. not for Trey Orr, who's only a freshman. So it's interesting to see that the older guys who have been through some wars kind of gel with these younger guys, and there's not a finished product. Despite having all the older guys there, there's not a finished product. It's certainly a work in progress. But as you see them, go up against some of these high majors, and even some of these low majors, you can see that things are coming along. The younger guys are getting more comfortable, and you would think by January and in February, you would start to see them maybe start to peak and really hit their stride as you get into mid or late February.
Yeah, without a doubt, that is definitely correct. Justin Robinson, one player that comes to mind when you mention the older guys gelling with the younger guys. This is a player that has dropped off a little bit in production. When you look at his points, obviously that will rise when we get into January and February and he's playing, the full max slate. But what have you seen out of him, and how has he grown, as a leader, on and off the court? Because I saw you wrote a piece after the South Carolina loss, and how devastating that was for the team, and it could have been, their first Power 5 win. They were going to play more Power 5 schools. But what have you seen from him and his maturity off the court?
It's funny, you look at just his raw numbers, and yes, his scoring is down and other stuff is down, but I think that's really a byproduct of he doesn't have to carry such a heavy offensive burden. I mean, he was being asked to do so much last year in terms of, be the point guard, have the ball in his hand, take the big shot, make the big shot, be the point guard, be the leader. And I just think now he has more help, has more options, guys are older, guys are more comfortable in the roles they're playing. And because Mon has more older guys and those guys are more comfortable, I think there's less of a burden for Robinson to have to do just, everything and be the guy every night. So.
Great insight there from Josh Newman. Monmouth is coming into this game at 4-2. Before last season, Quinnipiac had 10 straight wins against Monmouth, and then Monmouth took both of the games last year against Quinnipiac. But in this matchup on Thursday, what individual player matchups intrigues you the most?
Well, Quinnipiac's big thing is that their big men have been dominant for years, and against Indiana State, that's exactly what they were. Standing in their way against Monmouth, though, is the senior Chris Brady. He's 6'10", 250 pounds. He's extremely efficient from the field. He averages 12 points and 7 rebounds in just 25 minutes of basketball play. He's been very, very dominant against Quinnipiac in the last couple of years. Last year in 2 games, he averaged 13.5 points and 10 rebounds in just 19 minutes of action. He's extremely efficient from the field, 64% from the field this season. He's looked good all season long for Monmouth, 17-10 against South Carolina, 21-5 against Holy Cross, Monmouth's last game. He's been very, very good all season long. Him against Abdoulaye Bundu or Shays Daniels, that is the matchup I'm looking forward to, because those two bigs for Quinnipiac were very, very good this weekend. Abdoulaye Bundu, 15 points, 12 boards against Indiana State, and Shays Daniels had 12 points, including the game winner against the Sycamores. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to, because Chris Brady is huge, he's wide, he's tall, he can do a multitude of things on the basketball court. He plays defense against those two guys of Quinnipiac, Abdoulaye Bundu and Shays Daniels.
So Quinnipiac showed a lot of persistence, more than I've seen since I've been watching them in the Advocare Invite, and this game against Monmouth is just going to be just as high intensity as those games were. So what does Quinnipiac have to do to pull out the win? They're
going to have to do a lot of stuff inside. They're going to have to dominate the glass. They're going to dominate inside, because Monmouth's guards, let's face it, Quinnipiac doesn't have guards like Monmouth has. Justin Robinson, Jalon Hornby, Micah Seaborn, Josh James. Quinnipiac just doesn't have that right now, because they lost 3 guards from last season. They brought in 6 new faces, including 3 guards. So Quinnipiac doesn't have what Monmouth has. So Quinnipiac has to play to their strengths, which is going inside. Abdoulaye Bundu, Shays Daniels, Donovan Smith, hell, even throw in Jaquan Jones in there for some time during the game, because Quinnipiac is big, they're long, they can do a multitude of things on the basketball court inside. That's the only way they can really win, because as Josh said to Maury, Justin Robinson's numbers haven't been that good, but that's because the other guards have been so good, and everyone on Monmouth has been very, very good so far this season. He hasn't had to do everything. So Quinnipiac has got to go inside, rebound how they do on a nightly basis, and dominate inside, and they have a shot. But the guards aren't going to be able to get it done for Quinnipiac. It's going to have to be Abdoulaye Bundu and Shays Daniels.
Monmouth isn't the only game that Quinnipiac has coming up. Quinnipiac also plays another MAC opponent in Marist on Sunday at home. But that's all we have for men's basketball. Dylan, thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
But when we come back, Maury Hirsch-Gordon will join me on the desk to discuss the women's team heartbreaking loss to Temple. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss it.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Welcome into Studio 125.
So what?
40
So what?
Points. If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy. I'm
Line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monmouth player.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac vs. Northeastern Series.
But again, it's, we competed, we did a lot of things really well, but there's also, a long way to go in this year, and there's a lot to learn from and to pick apart when we watch the game film for us to get better.
Welcome back to Hot Hoops. I'm now joined by Maury Hirschgordon. Thanks for coming on.
Theo, thank you.
So you just heard from women's basketball head coach Trisha Fabry about Quinnipiac's 3-point loss to Temple on the road on Sunday afternoon. So Maury, Quinnipiac controlled the lead for over 33 minutes of this game. It really came down to the wire. Quinnipiac couldn't handle Temple's guard, Aliyah Butts, who was just draining them in the final minutes of the game. So in this heartbreaking 3-point loss, what are some takeaways from Quinnipiac's first loss of the season?
Well, I think I look at two big things. One, Quinnipiac can play with good teams, and Quinnipiac can play with very good teams. This is a Temple Owls team who split with Quinnipiac last year, made a run all the way to the quarterfinals in the WNIT, was picked second preseason only behind the Connecticut Huskies in the American Conference. This team is no joke. This team went on the road and played a Power 6 school right down to the wire, and like you said, led for over 33 minutes. Another thing I took away is Quinnipiac can roll out studs, and we got that. We understand, they can beat Florida Gulf Coast, they can beat the Daytons of the world, but hey, they can also compete with top teams, and they're not scared on the road. So those are two positives that I took away. Clearly, Jen Fay had a phenomenal game with 26 points. But I look at, a couple other things when Quinnipiac lost this game. The pressure against Temple was really hard. Temple placed 4 guards, fast, long, quick, athletic guards. Quinnipiac didn't have the best personnel in because of foul trouble, because of offensive players who weren't having good games. I look at when your starting point guard, Carly Fabry, is 2 for 16 in the first 5 games, it's really hard as a defense, to respect that, and they sag in. And that's where the Sarah Schuins, the Morgan Manses, the Paula Stratmanés, the Aaron McClures get double teamed down low because defenses can't respect a 3 from Fabry. I'm not saying she has to hit 3 or 4 or 5 threes a game, but 1 or 2 so that the defense respects her. Then I also look at when one of your best players is seemingly, in foul trouble every single game. Paula Stratmané did not allow Trisha Fabry to roll out the gold rush. She's with 2 fouls, and Trisha Fabry has to go away from that early in the first half. Then she has 4 fouls in the second half, and Trisha Fabry can't play the gold rush then. So when Paula Stratmané can't play in a game, against Temple, in which she had 19 points just a few months ago in March, when she can't play here on the road, she really does her team a disservice. McClure and Stratmané, 3 for 15 from the floor. So there was a lot of things, in this Temple game that I took away that were positives, but also negatives.
So now Quinnipiac's heading into conference play. First, they head to St. Peter's, which is 0-5 in the season, and then on Thursday, and then on Sunday, the Quinnipiac is home against Siena. These are 2 teams that the Bobcats should pretty much handle when you look at it on paper. So what are your predictions quickly for the 2 MAC games?
Win-win.
That's all you have?
Win-win. St. Peter's at the bottom of the conference. Siena can't play with Quinnipiac.
So let's get to the game everybody wants to talk about, and that's Michigan State. They're coming to Hamden on Tuesday. A huge game for Quinnipiac. Michigan State was ranked number 24 in the country a couple weeks ago. They received 36 votes this week to get into the top 5 again. Is Quinnipiac ready to compete with this level of talent?
For sure. I mean, you look at Temple. They should have beaten Temple, in a game on the road where Temple comes off of a loss leading by, as many as 17 points against Florida, who was 16th in the country. So if Temple would have beaten the 16th best team in the country and Quinnipiac would have beaten Temple, Quinnipiac deserves a shot in the top 25 or especially votes in the top 25. 3 out of the last 4 years, Michigan State's made the NCAA tournament, and it's rare when a Power 5 team plays 8 or 9 players 10 plus minutes a game, but but that's what these Spartans do. But Quinnipiac's ready for that. Why? Because Trisha Fabry recruits. Trisha Fabry has her players ready for these games. She schedules a tough non-conference schedule, much different than Tom Moore does with the men. They were at the Advocate, they played top teams, but the women play very good teams in the out-of-conference to prepare them not only for March, for that last weekend to get to the Monday afternoon championship game, but also to compete in the NCAA tournament. The first 5 and the second 5, all 10 players can hit three-point shots, which means the defense has to expand, and Quinnipiac can beat a team like Michigan State.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Hot Hoops. Clearly some big games coming up for Quinnipiac men's and women's basketball, so you won't want to miss any of our coverage, which you can find on our social media at Q30 Sports and on our website at Q30television.com. For Dylan Fearon, who was on earlier, Maury Hirsch-Gordon, and all of our crew, I'm Sierra Goodwill. Have a great night.